example, I bought a 47 unit for 20K down. I bought a 46 unit for 100K down. I bought a 130 pad RV park for 30K down.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Curiosity Class. I'm super excited to be joined by Morgan Ehrenzeller today. Morgan is a powerhouse and a beast. He's the founder and CEO of Ehrenzeller Capital, and he's got a very impressive real estate track record. So, Morgan, thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. I appreciate you.
Jeff, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
100%. So, dude, where do you want to start? Like, how did, first off, do you want to give people a little bit of a background, like who you are and where you came from and how'd you get to where you are?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great start. So a little bit about me. 28 years old currently. Where I guess what everyone probably wants to hear is I built up a portfolio. We're pushing about 1,100 units right now in the next 3 months with what we have coming. That 1,100 will be expanding to 1,900 with what we have in the pipeline under contract and what's closing. Primarily all multifamily, sprinkle in a couple RV parks, a mobile home park. But multifamily is the bread and butter. Really how I got started in all of this. I was always an entrepreneur at heart as a kid. I always, was doing different things, trying to make money, things like that. When I was 14, what really my first big business, not necessarily big at the time, really, but my first what I would say decent successful entrepreneurial journey was when I was 14, I created a software company. So we did this and we hired offshore talent in other countries for cheaper labor costs. Now this was before AI was a big, and you could have, you have all the AI gadgets now that can go code you all these platforms. Now this was back in the day. So um, growing up too, my dad was a third generation carpenter. So not in real estate, but a service person for someone in real estate, knows construction. So growing up, I was always brought onto the job sites and had to hold the flashlight, so to say. So, running conduit, wiring, they're doing plumbing with him, soldering joints with copper. Probably put my first roof on at the age of 11. So I know construction very, 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 very well, which I'm incredibly grateful for today because having that foundational skill set and starting from nothing, nobody can bullshit you on how long something takes or how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of projects, they go bust in this stage in construction. They're either really successful or they go really bust in the construction aspect. So that was a little bit, my growing up, won the job sites with my dad, 14, hired offshore coders, coded me a software platform, 15 with my partner, making good money, got into cryptocurrency. We were under 18 at the time, so PayPal limited our accounts. 80% of our revenue was coming into PayPal for our revenue, our SaaS. So that made me pivot into another, how can I keep accepting money that but isn't fiat because PayPal keeps limiting our accounts and we can't collect money for our software. So then I discovered Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I went down this journey. Bitcoin was about $30 a coin. At that point was kind of one accident or however you want to say it, but we started moving all of our PayPal profits and SaaS into Bitcoin. Some call it luck. I think there was a slight degree of luck there, but we did it because we didn't have a choice because all of our money, we couldn't accept it through PayPal for our software company.
And
So
so,
then we started redirect. Sorry, go ahead.
who's we? You say we started this software company. Who's we?
My partner and I at that time period.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So I had
who is your partner?
his name was Damien at the time.
And how
Yes.
did you, like, you guys friends from school? Like, how did you guys meet?
No, we actually met online on a forum. So we met through forums online. Both had very entrepreneurial spirit, created a software company together, and then started distributing that, selling that, buying advertising. setting up an auto buy system. So when they bought it, the product would get delivered to their email address, and then all of that would be tied on serial keys with with your Mac ID address and all of that to your computer. Well, that's a whole nother life ago. I could
Okay.
go deep down into that, but did that as a teenager. Nonetheless, got into the cryptocurrency from that.
Okay.
One accident, but also very luck. But Bitcoin was 30, $50 a coin. And then by the time I was 16, 17, 18, I had a lot of money for my age and I didn't know what to do with the money. Uh, but my parents, I don't come from money. So it's one of those ones. If you want to drive a Ferrari, you're going to take advice from someone with a Ferrari or someone driving a Toyota.
Right.
So I didn't want to take my parents' advice, what to do with the money. And every person that I thought had money at that time frame in my life was involved in real estate. So I was like, I just did all of this. If I can figure out how to, do what I just did in the past 4 or 5 years as a teenager, I can surely figure out real estate.
Hmm.
So at 17, then I, in a sense, pushed myself off the cliff. I bought a duplex on Creative Finance when I was 17 years old. For 20 grand, I put 5 grand down. Half of it was burnt. One side of that duplex was burnt out from a fire. The other side was trash. I had to renovate it and all that. So I bought my first duplex at 17. Um, and then I went to college. And then I
Okay. And was this
graduated.
duplex local? So, like, were you doing the construction management yourself?
Yes, yep. That was in my
Okay.
backyard, so to say, in central PA. But that was,
Okay.
I know that was a lot, but in a nutshell, that is, who Morgan is today and how Morgan started. And now I'm sure you want to get into all the meat in between and how it all came to blossom.
100%, dude. But before that, I'm so curious. What kind of software business was it?
So it was a company that from a parent's perspective, you could use it for the family to monitor your children, make sure your children aren't on videos they shouldn't be, doing things on the computer they shouldn't be, or from an employer standpoint. So you have the B2C, the business to consumer, and the B2B lens, and then business to business could monitor and the efficiency of employees. Okay, are they
Okay.
really doing the shit they should be on their work computer?
Right.
How, where is all this time being spent, and so forth. So you had, both aspects of it, the B2B and the B2C, so to say.
Sure. And so you guys were making too much money that PayPal stopped accepting your payments, so you had to
Yeah,
move
yeah,
into
they kept
Bitcoin.
limiting our account from all the money we were pulling in when the daily.
Are you comfortable sharing like how much money you guys were making at that time?
When we were about 15, 16, we were pulling north of $1,000 a day. So I mean, it's not a lot,
Holy
but
smokes, dude.
there's a lot of a lot of transactions because our packages were like 15, 30, and 45. So it could be like, 20 to 40 transactions a day, on the
Okay.
smaller scale. So I think that's what caused I don't want to say red flags or yellow flags, was a lot of transactions, small,
Okay.
small volume or dollar size, but, I don't want to say high volume, but, starting out higher volume.
Sure. And what were you and your partner each bringing home from that at the end of the day? So on a monthly basis, let's call it.
Uh, well, really, the thing about the software company, why I loved it so much, and quite frank, something's earning me to get back into it, is once you have the product done, really if you can automate and systemize everything else, really your only outlay at that point is advertising and marketing dollars. So once you
Right.
can find a really good channel for your marketing and get good, ROAS, your return on ad spend, um and dump fire on it, then once dump fuel on the fire once you find out that good niche. But I mean, margins in software were well above 90%, not accounting our in our model, were well above
Right.
90%. And that wasn't dumping high fuel in the fire for advertising dollars. Obviously, you can adjust that accordingly, but we were 14, 15, 16 years old at that point in our life.
Yeah, dude,
So
that's crazy. So what I'm so curious about is like why like that's an insane story. That's an insane like teen period. Why did you stop? Like why did you do anything else? Like what made you go like, oh, I'm going to take because we're going to get into it, but like real estate is traditionally not known as a massive income generator. It's a great wealth creator, right? And
Hmm.
I'm sure you can make great cash flow, but you're not making 90% margins. Like that's ridiculous. So why did you take this income generator that you had and do anything else? Why didn't you just like keep doing that?
If I could rewind in time, I would have.
Okay.
If I believe me, I didn't know back then what I know today. And back then, when I was 14, 15, and 16-year-olds, I didn't have the resources that I have today.
Okay.
So believe me, this was a really off the shelf type fly operation we had going. But I mean, we were making good money for our age at that point. And
Dude, it's unreal. It's great money for any age. You're pulling in like what, 15, 20,000 bucks a month at the end of the day?
yeah, easily.
That's crazy, dude. And like all before you're 18.
Yeah, but ultimately, what stopped that was a mixture because of the pressure we were getting with PayPal kept limiting it. And keep in mind, cryptocurrency isn't what it is today. It
Right,
wasn't
right. This was like the
mainstream.
Wild West.
This is like 2011, 2012, 2013. No one knows what the hell this thing is at this point.
Right,
And even
right.
on the grand scheme today, it's still very, very new to the world. So just keep in mind, this was a while ago. This was very, very, very early adoption of this. So we had a mixture of this, and then once the PayPal kept limiting, I'm sure they were tying it to our IP addresses and stuff like that. But we were doing things, obviously, getting VPNs, virtual private servers, having things like that to create the PayPal accounts when to try and limit it. So it was a mixture of all of that, and then also I was probably seventh, eighth grade through 10th grade. I mean, I would go to school and then I would be working on the computer till 3 a.m. every day, every night. And that was my life. School and then on the computer till 3 a.m. Um,
Did your parents know what you were doing? Like, were you showing them your bank account, being like, this is what I'm doing? And were they like, are you selling drugs? Like, what is going on?
yeah, so they knew I was selling software and stuff like that in the background. And two, like I played games like RuneScape and stuff like that. I mean, I was always selling like gold and other like games and stuff like that. So I was always had the entrepreneurial stuff or entrepreneurial
Okay.
mindset growing up. So it's like kind of a normal thing for me growing up, if that makes sense.
Okay. There's like Morgan's doing his thing. Let him be. His grades are fine. Like it's all good.
Yeah, yep. Well, actually, my grades, I was the, I graduated very small class. I graduated with about 72 kids in high school. From a report card standpoint, I was the fourth from the last ranking from a GPA standpoint and all of that. Um, Meanwhile, I mean, I'm sure none of my classmates or peers were doing what I was doing, but
Right,
that just
right.
shows to tell you how much of a report card actually means in the world.
That's wild, dude. Okay, all right. So you buy this duplex, you take all this money. So are you comfortable sharing like how much cash did you have by the time you're going to college? Like you probably saved up, like your expenses are probably pretty low at this point. So all the money you're making, presumably you were saving a good amount. You take some of that, you put 5 grand down and buy a duplex, you
Hmm.
fix it up and you go off to college.
Yep. So I fixed up the duplex. At that point, still had money, coming in. Always, stayed busy, stayed active. Growing up, always had multiple jobs, multiple, entrepreneurial things going on in the background. So always working. Always grew up with a very hard work ethic.
Okay.
And I was grown up to, the saying, make uh make hay when the sun's shining, so to say.
Sure.
That's how I grew up. Um, but and then I got into mining farms a little bit. Crypto, I was starting to build my own cryptocurrency miners
Okay.
in my later teenage years because I was seeing
Because
the
this is
cash.
like this is still 2012 era.
It was about at this point it was probably 2016 when I got into the
Okay.
miners.
So
2016.
what is the price of Bitcoin around that time? more or less?
2016, 2017 was probably around 15 grand, 15, 20 grand. 2017, end of 2017. I know we had a big spike, and that's when it broke, I believe, 30 grand.
Okay. And
That
you
was
had
a big
held,
jump.
like you owned Bitcoins throughout this entire period, or did you sell before this?
I did. And then also I was doing other things like exchanging as well too on platforms. But I
Okay.
was doing that a lot too. Exchanging through different platforms. But
So
I've
if
been
if I'm a third grader, what does that mean? What does exchanging mean?
where an exchange like a you could exchange example, say you go to a cryptocurrency ATM machine and you go to a kiosk and you want to exchange just like a currency, but for Bitcoin. Say you have one USD equals 19 pesos. There's going to be a
Okay.
currency exchanger there will say, "Oh, I'll give you one USD for 19 pesos, but I
Got
want a
it.
10% fee, or I want a
Okay.
5% fee, or I want a 15% fee. I want a
And
cut."
so you were you were that intermediary for people between Bitcoin and USD?
I was doing that a little bit on and off between, some cash, money. I believe what the hell was that? MoneyGram back in the day.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
PayPal. A handful of different things. So was doing that. Um, and then, but to answer your question, yeah, I still have crypto holdings throughout this time period, but I also have been keep in mind I've been financially independent since I've been 14. So when I went off and went to college, it wasn't mom and dad paying for college. It wasn't mom and dad paying for Morgan's rent. It
Sure.
wasn't mom and dad paying for Morgan's meal plan. It wasn't mom and dad paying for Morgan's textbooks. It wasn't mom and dad paying for Morgan's electricity bill and water bill and sewer bill. That was all Morgan since,
Okay.
14 years old. So, as yes, I'm accumulating this Bitcoin and all these other coins, but keep in mind, I have to sell some to survive. I have to sell some to pay
Sure.
for my college. I have to sell some to pay for my life. I have to sell some to pay for, my utilities, my rent, my car, my insurance, all that. So I have a lot too, but keep in mind, I'm constantly buying, selling because I got to stay alive as well too throughout, college and all that.
Sure. And was the software business still running at this time?
No, 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 no. I stopped it right when I went to college.
Got it.
Um,
Okay, so your income kind of cut off as soon as you left.
yes, yes. I stopped
Got it.
it.
Okay.
Went to college, focused on some things I shouldn't have been focusing on, and then paused like the whole entrepreneurial thing until I graduated, and then I graduated college 2020, and then I went heels deep in real estate since.
Okay. So, all right. So, from when you graduated college, you have all this experience from growing up, and you had this construction background from your parent or from your dad, and you had this entrepreneurial background from the software company. You buy this duplex. That was your first foray into real estate. You go to college. You finish college, and you have your duplex. That's the only real estate holdings that you have at that point.
My last semester of college, COVID just COVID just happened. COVID was just
Okay.
coming out in the world, so a lot of fear in the market. I went to a foreclosure auction. This is in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. That's where I went to university. I went to a foreclosure auction. I was the only person that bid on this house. I got it for 10 grand.
Okay.
There was like 2,500 bucks in fees. So I had money, left over from software throughout college. I was doing things, flipping, clothes, Supreme. I had Supreme bots, clothing bots like that, buying stuff as soon as
Okay.
it would drop, sell it, new shoes. Um, Cars, just flipping cars. One time I picked up a dog for free and flipped a dog. Um, but did a lot of all that throughout college, and then nonetheless bought that last one. So I had money from all that. Bought that foreclosed house for 10 grand. That was my last semester
Okay.
of college. COVID happened, and then I graduated, and then I put in all the sweat equity into that one single family house. Put 17 grand into it. It was worth about 140, give or take. And then that was the deal that got me really hooked. Was okay. I bought this for 10, put 17 into it, 27 into it, 30, 27, 30 grand into it. In 4 weeks, it's worth 130. I just made over 100K in equity into my net worth in 4 weeks at 22, 23 years old. and that was the deal that got me hooked. And the rest is history.
And so did you refinance that? Did you flip it? Did you sell it? What did you do with it?
Good question. So I took it and I went and I refinanced it. So I pulled all the equity out. And then I went and I bought another two houses I picked up off Craigslist. I bought them
Okay.
outright, killer deals. I picked them up for 44 grand, worth about 200 total. And then also from that money I went and I picked up another foreclosure, but this bank financed the foreclosure for me. So
Okay.
I got this other foreclosure for 13 grand, and I only had to put 25% down of that 13 grand for this
Holy
property.
smokes.
And the people that foreclosed on, were staying in the property, and they continued to pay me rent after I closed on it. So they got foreclosed, didn't pay the bank, and then after I closed and bought it, they paid me rent for 3 years after that. The rent alone paid for the entire house, and then I ended up selling the house a couple years ago. Um, but that was we had this big win right at college, took all this money, deployed it into another three assets, and your classic, BRRRR strategy. Guy started small to single family, hit it out of the park, pulled all the equity, bird it, bird it, bird it, bird it, bird it. And that's, in a sense, how I'm here.
And so you were probably getting debt when and so just you want to break down the BRRRR acronym for those who might not be familiar with it?
Buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. So you buy
And
it,
so you
you
were
buy the property, and then you renovate it. So you got to buy it under market value. Then you
mhm,
renovate it, and generally after you renovate it, you want to be maximum. Me personally, 70% all in of the after repair value. That way
okay.
you can exit it cleanly, and get all your chips off the table. And if you did a great job, you have some cream on the top. Pat yourself on the back. You have some equity there too that you pulled out, and
Yeah.
then you
And the
repeat.
coolest part of the refinancing is it's tax free. So you're pulling out this chunk of change and you don't owe any taxes on it.
Yep, absolutely.
What and the debt this was around 2021, 2022 or still in 2020?
2020, 2021. And then I
So
still
your
had,
interest rates were like 2 or 3?
yes, but also, at this point, I was trying to get loans from banks, and the banks were shutting me down. They're like, Morgan, you don't have 3 years tax returns, you don't have 3 years jobs history. We're not giving you money to go play Monopoly.
Right.
We're sorry, but no, we're not giving you this. So then I got forced back into a wall and got really, really good at creative finance. So I
Okay.
didn't have to use the banks. So to this day, and my entire portfolio has been built off of creative finance. I actually have one traditional loan right now out of everything in my entire
Wow.
portfolio.
So what does that look like? When you say creative financing, what does that mean?
So that means either there was a existing loan on a property, and I came to the seller and I said, "Hey, let me take over that debt. And also, will you carry a second position? Or if there is no debt on it, hey, will you carry a note? I'll give you X amount of dollars down. Let me go in. I'll fix up the place. I'll refinance it in, 12, 18 months. I'll make it worth a lot more money. And then when I refinance it and I do it successfully, I'll pay you back out on the refinance." So it could be a mixture
Mm,
between a sub two is what, if there's already debt there, subject to existing mortgage, or a seller finance, or a hybrid, or a master lease option. We've done them, where we
okay.
lease the property and then we buy it out later at an agreed purchase price, or we've even done entity buyouts, where we buy out the entity that is tied to a loans, or and we keep them sometimes depending on the structure, keep it on, and each payment that we make dilutes their ownership share,
Oh,
to get
wow.
around just to get around different red tape, depending on
Sure.
clauses, terms, bad boy clauses, and mortgages, stuff like that. So just getting really, really creative to work outside of traditional banking.
So who's the best like avatar for an owner that this would work well for? Like paint a picture of what that looks like. Because I've like, everyone I think I've heard this all the time, but I've never done this myself successfully. So like, who does this work well for from an owner perspective?
Great question. Yeah, so this is how I was able to run so fast, quite frank too. Um, was from all this, but everyone is a little bit different. And
Sure,
I would say one time I did this with a single family because if the sellers would have sold it, their income would have went over a threshold, and then they wouldn't have got their free insurance. So if they would have sold it and collected that money down, they wouldn't have their insurance benefits would have diminished, and they wouldn't have got
but
their
how did you know that? Like, were they listing their house so they wanted to sell it, or you
no,
found them
because
off
I
market and
that's because I talked to them and I was figuring out their pain and I was walking through all of this. So I only know this is because I'm at the end of the day, I'm a professional problem solver. So this is the problem
Sure,
and how do we solve it? And asking, really good questions and knowing what type of questions, the framework of those questions, that's, how I'm uncovering this stuff, and how I'm able to tie back a value proposition on how to make it work for everyone. So like, that was one where, if they sold and, the money they collected, their insurance would have been off. So this works well for them, because they get to keep their insurance. It works well for me because I get it. And then later down the road, they'll, get a big balloon payout when, it works well for us all. Another one, capital gains tax. So, someone who could be 90 years old, their entire portfolio, maybe they rip some cost tags on it. There's a lot of depreciation. So they sell it to me. There's a lot of depreciation. They have to pay all that back to the government. There's not a lot of
yeah.
equity either. So oftentimes that even that equity there, and say they're 1031 and they're kicking the can down the road, they sell it. They actually got to come to the table with money. So they have to figure a
Oh,
way, how do I keep kicking this can down the road? Because if I sell it,
right.
I'm screwed.
Because even
Uh,
if you 1031, you offset the capital gains, but you don't offset the depreciation that you owe.
yes. And I'm not a
Oh,
CPA. I'm not a CPA, so
interesting.
consult with one prior.
Right,
This could be
right, right.
another instance where they realize, oh shit. So how do I get around this? Okay, in this scenario, you're 90 years old. Listen, Mr. Seller, none of your kids are involved in real estate. None
Mhm.
of them are financially intelligent, have financial literacy. Don't take it personal, but you know damn well as I know, they're going to piss away everything you left them in 2 to 3 years. It's going to be gone. They don't know how to operate this. They don't know what to do. They have not the slightest clue. It's going to be gone. So I said, instead of that, you're gonna pay money to sell it because of the capital gains tax, the depreciation. Two, you worked your entire life for this legacy. It's going to be pissed away in 3 years. Morgan, I know you're exactly right. So how about this? How about we delay those capital gains tax that you're paying, the depreciation schedule, seller finance it to me over 30 years, and when you die, all of your kids, they'll get a monthly mailbox money from me every single month. So now they're taken care of for the next 30 years and they're not going to piss it away in the next 3 years because they got a big chunk of change and they don't know what to do with it. So I said, now your legacy's intact because for the next 30 years, they're getting mailbox money from me. Two, you delay the capital gains tax. You don't have to come up with money and bring it to the table. And just
Mhm.
walking them through all of this because a lot of people they don't really think about all this. The deeper and the
And
deeper and the deeper you go. Uh,
how over what period of time did you establish in 'cause this sounds like a real situation. So
it is. That's why I'm telling you. Yeah.
over how long of a period of time did you establish the relationship with this person before you had the conversation you just described? Like, was this you chatted with them for 20 minutes on the phone and then this is what came up, or like, how long?
15 minutes on the phone and this is the next call, maybe.
Oh, wow. So you were asking them about their family on the first call, and
Sometimes,
you
if I'm
underst
trying to yeah, I mean, if I'm trying to figure out how to get creative on it, I mean, I have to ask certain questions to see, how this potentially would work for creative.
and
So
what was the pitch you used to get them on the phone in the first place?
you see, I'm at a point now in my life where I don't really go hunting for the deals. The deals all come to me. So I set it all up inbound marketing. So it all comes to me.
Okay,
And like now I mean, at this point I have my own acquisitions team
got
that
it.
are running everything in our filtering it all and going through and sending it all up the chain. Uh, but I mean,
Okay, but
they all
let's
come.
let's
Go ahead.
let's say you didn't have those things, and so let's say you're just starting out. What would you recommend to someone who is trying to get one of these deals? They want to use creative financing. Let's say they've identified the building and they've identified the contact info. What then?
I would say it's not necessarily where you're finding these deals. It's more of a negotiation.
Okay.
Because a lot of these deals, like, example, I bought a 47 unit for 20K down. I bought a 46 unit for 100K down. I bought a 130 pad RV park for 30K down. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on, but none of these deals were labeled that when they came to market. Some of them are one market, some of them are off market. They were never labeled that. I negotiated them to that. So I think the better
Sure.
question is, how can one get better at negotiating these instead of, hey, where's the honey pot? Because the honey pot isn't there. You have to negotiate to get to the honey pot, if that makes sense.
Sure. Sure. So do you mind? Can we do a deep dive into one of those you just mentioned?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, let's do the 46 unit that you put 20K down on. That's amazing. So
Mhm.
where did that deal come from? How did you find it?
So that was on the market. Actually, yeah, that was on the market, and it was on the market. It was on Zillow, and my old wrestling, I wrestled for 13 years. My old wrestling teammate sent it to me, texted it to me. That's exactly how that
Okay.
one came.
And so you get this text, you're like, "Interesting. Let's
Yeah.
let's see what's up." So then who did you contact?
I contacted the broker.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you said what to them?
I contacted the broker, asked if there's any debt on it. They were wanting 2.3 million. We ended up getting it for 1.880 million.
Okay.
Um, Initially, there was $1.1 million of debt on it. So I asked if we could assume that, if we could take that over, and then I convinced them through carrying a second position. And keep in mind, this woman was really desperate, and I'll tell you a story how desperate she was. The management there was, her kids were managing it, and her kids, she went and raised money from other investors for it. Her kid was managing it and went and stole all the money. This was in West Virginia, stole all the money and drove and started a new life in Oklahoma.
Holy smokes.
So she was going through it, probably. Uh, so one, the property's in complete turmoil. 46 units, 47 units there, and of that, there's maybe five that are full. And of the five that are full, the money that's supposed to be coming in, the son stole it all. Uh, yeah. So that was a little bit about that one, nonetheless. So she was in a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Distress. Uh, so talked to the broker and ended up talking to them into saying, "Hey, will you carry a second position?" And I talked them into carrying a second position and giving them 20K down, and they carried a second position of the remainder for 18
Which was like
months.
700 grand, no?
Yeah, it was like 700 grand, 710, I believe.
Wow. Okay. And how did you weather the storm between closing and then the month 18 when you were able to refinance? Because your payment on that must have been fairly substantial and you were probably losing a bunch of money if only 5 units were full, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those ones you have to underwrite correctly. So me, I underwrote all those vacant ones. I have my own construction crew in house. So like me
Okay.
personally, for holding costs, mortgages, utilities, renovations, labor, material, I budgeted 700K to turn this whole 47 unit around.
In
Um,
18 months.
yes,
Okay.
700K. I did that, and it cost me 493K when we were finished with everything. Uh, so I
Wow.
budgeted
And
700, and I came in at 493.
and were you using a construction loan to cover that? Like how did
No,
that work?
I raised the money from an investor.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So you said, Mrs. Owner, you have 1.1 in debt. I'm going to assume that, so you don't have to pay that anymore. On top of
Yes.
that, I'm going to make payments to you for a loan of 700,000 that we agree on the price and interest rate in terms for 18 months. And was that amortized over 30 years? So your payment was spread out, but it was a 18-month term, or was it interest
Correct
only?
on the second position, but also I got one better. I got no payments during those 18 months. So no payments at all on the second position note.
Wow. And then it was just agreed upon. It was a balloon. But was the interest was presumably accruing over 18 months. You just didn't have to make any
No, no,
payments on
that's
it.
absolutely no payments, nothing. So the 710 was 710 on month 1 was 710 on month 18.
Whoa. What was her incentive to agree to that?
Um, Honestly, I kind of forget, like, I she was obviously in a lot of distress. This was almost a year and a half ago at this point,
Wow.
but it was I
And
just
was it
negotiated her, going back and forth. She
was
Like
it
I said, this didn't come out on the market advertised as that. And then at 2, 3, 'cause that's what I'm saying, if this would've came out advertised as that on the market, it would've been immediately gone immediately. Um,
right, right.
so that's what I was saying, like, I negotiated it to that.
For those types of transactions, how does the broker get paid?
So this is what I said to the broker too on the front end, because that's ultimately what he gives a shit about is how am I
Right.
getting paid? So I said to the broker on the front end, listen, if you can get, like, I told him what to say, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to structure it. And I told him on the front end, said, listen, if we get this, I will pay your commission and I will pay it on the front end. So when we closed on it initially, I paid out his $80,000 in real estate commission.
And that was based off the purchase price of 1.8.
Yeah, 1.88.
Okay. Wow. Dude, that's amazing. And were you talking to the owner at any point directly, or this was all through the broker?
It was through the broker. So I was telling him what to say. He was relaying it, telling it to me, and then back and forth.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, that's amazing. And so then you refinanced, you paid out the owner, and then you just got new debt with a bank because
Yep,
now you
true.
have enough income to justify them giving you loans?
Yep, yep, yep. So we got it stabilized, refinance, pay out the first position, paid out the second position, paid out my investor all of his money back. So every dime that he put into it got all paid back as well too. And then
Mhm.
there was a lot of money on top for us to split too.
And was it hard to, 'cause presumably the mortgage you assumed had a low interest rate and the mortgage you got was higher. So did that hurt at all?
I mean, not really. I mean, we took over the property. It was pulling in like 3K a month. I mean, now it's pulling like 48 grand a month. So it's like, I mean,
So that the difference in interest didn't hurt
it's
you.
the forest said. I mean, the DSCR on the thing's like a 1.80. So like it's healthy. Yeah, we're
Got it.
paying higher interest, but I got all the chips off the table, got my investor all of his money back. We pulled out a lot of
Yeah.
money on top of it, and it's
So who
it's cash
cares?
flowing. It's chucking like a train.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Mhm.
So now what are you focusing on now? Like, are you just doing more of these deals? You said you had an acquisition team and inbound. So like what is your
Yes,
day
that's
look like
yeah.
these
I
days?
mean, this is literally what we do. We buy deals like literally just like that almost on a weekly basis. Just bought
Wow.
one last week. We have another 168 unit coming. We're buying that one for 13.6 million. We're assuming 12
Wow.
million of debt at 4.37%. So coming to the
And
table with 1.6 million.
are
Um,
those debt assumptions hard to do?
they're a pain in the
Like,
ass, but I mean the interest rate you wanna maintain that 4%.
sure, but are there instances where you're unable to assume the mortgage?
No, I mean, ultimately, you just have to what they care about is there's really 3 check boxes. 1, experience checkbox. Does the person who's doing this, do they have the experience to do this?
Mhm.
So that's checkbox number 1. Checkbox number 2 is net worth standpoint. Okay, I'm giving them say, a $10 million loan. Whoever's doing this, they have to have at least a minimum of a $10 million net worth.
Right.
So you have to have experience checkbox, the net worth checkbox. Your net worth has to be greater than what the loan is amount. And then you also have to have a liquidity checkbox. Okay, after this closes, do they have enough liquidity for 6 months to pay the mortgage for 6 months after this closes? So
Mhm.
if say you close, Okay, come up with the down payment, all that. Say your say your mortgage payment is $100,000 a month. You got to have at least 600 grand sitting in an account for operating, liquid.
Mhm.
Um, so you got to really hit those three check boxes.
Gotcha. Or partner with people who do, right? So you bring in a key principal for the net worth requirement, you bring in an investor for the liquidity requirement.
I mean, I can hit all the check boxes myself. And I normally just
Wow.
bring in an investor who wants to fund it, and then we'll split everything. So like I'll do all the
Okay.
work, and then we'll force appreciate 3, 4, 5, $6 million, refinance out within 12 months, pay them all their money back, and then there's 2, 3, $4 million on top that we get to split.
Right. And then, I mean, the beauty of that is everyone's happy, right? Because now you own this asset just yourself. They've made a killing.
I know
You've made a killing.
I keep them in there with me, so they stay in too, and they get all the cash
Oh,
flow for the rest of their life.
got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Got it. Man, that's incredible. So you raise money on a per property basis or do you do a fund?
No, I don't have a fund. I don't do a fund. So I everything I own is between myself and either one or two other partners.
Got
So I
it.
have a very small circle of who I do deals with.
Gotcha. Dude, that's amazing. So you're just like turning and burning these out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, 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 pretty much. That's a lot what we do. A lot of deals that I just like that.
Dude, so what does a normal Tuesday look like for you? Like walk me through it from like waking up to going to bed. Like what does your day-to-day look like? Like are you still
um,
playing RuneScape at 3 a.m.? Like how does that work?
no, 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 no. So normally I normally structure my property management meetings on Mondays and Thursdays with all my team. So Mondays and Thursdays are just stacked back to back to back to back to back meetings, keeping pulses on things. But generally that and in between construction. So managing everything else that's vertically integrated. So it could be meeting with acquisition guys, what's coming next, lining up capital for the next deal that's coming in the pipeline. My construction team, do I have to move them to a different asset? Okay, is this asset the construction ahead of the leasing? Okay, maybe is this asset is the leasing ahead of the construction? So move around different construction crews in different areas to different assets, depending on where it makes the most sense for the portfolio. Um, Dealing with insurance. The other day had a van drive through one of our motels. 2 weeks ago, we had a gang of six trannies break in and pull a gun on a maintenance guy. I mean, there's a lot of shit that happens in this industry.
Yeah. And are you based so you're based in Florida. Do you go in person to any of these or do you manage everything remotely?
I mean, I'm at all of them. I mean, I don't buy a piece of real estate without visiting it. So I'm always there. I walk it, but I we have in-house teams locally that and also remotely. So there's a mixture. I'm generally at each building at least once a quarter, once every other quarter.
Okay. And how many buildings do you currently own? So like are you on the road all the time?
A good bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, that's amazing. Where do you wanna be in, like do you have, like, an income number that you're going for? Do you have a net worth number that you're going for? Do you have, like, a like, what are you going for? What are you going towards?
Not really. I'm just trying to get better every single day.
Mhm. And
That's all.
where do you wanna be in, like, 10 years?
I as long as I keep growing. I mean, I just enjoy the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy the game.
And so, okay, going back to your day-to-day for a second, it's like, what time do you start your day? What time do you end your day? Give or take.
um Normally waking up at 7, have coffee, meet with my assistant for the day, and then from there go to the gym. Like to hit the gym, focus on all the my flow state of mind is generally in the morning, so I try to stack everything important in the mornings, and then anything not as important in the evenings. So generally
Okay.
up at 7 and in bed by usually no later than 9:30, 10.
Oh, nice. Okay. And do you take, like, time off? Or are you able to kinda just get away and, like, turn it off?
Uh, s I am now, a little bit more now. It's really hard to do that in the beginning. It is
Mhm.
it is incredibly hard to do that in the beginning when you first start. when you first start, there is no time for that. If
Mhm.
you want to build something huge, this work life balance is complete bullshit. If you want to build something actually really big and meaningful.
Mhm.
So my first 4 years, no, there was none of that really. But now in the past 6 months, I've been structuring things differently where buying time back and really, really shifting it because yeah, I don't really need to buy any more real estate and I'll be fine.
Right. I know
I'm at that
you can't
point.
have buy back your time behind you and not talk about it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, yes, now I do a big lot of focus on literally buying back my time, heavily. So just spend the time on the high energy stuff that I really, really, really like doing.
Yeah. If you had to give yourself advice, like, what you know now versus when you were just starting out, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, get around the person or people, not the people, not person. Get around the people or the person that is doing what you want in life and how you want your ideal life to look, and get around them and spend as much time as you can with them. Work for free for them if you can. Not a lot of people are willing to do that. Work for free
Mhm.
if you can because the education that you'll pick up in the long run far exceeds a paycheck.
So,
So always
how
work
do
for
you
education and not money.
how do you do that when you're first starting out? Because every add value, add value, add value. But if you go up to someone who's super successful and you say, "I will work for you for free," they're like, "I don't know who you are. I don't know what you can do. I don't. You just gave me a job to figure out what I can give you." So, like, how do you do that pragmatically? How do you do that practically?
Mm, it's almost like sales. You know, it You have to find it. Almost like going back to the negotiation and you asked me, "How did you find out about this person's insurance?" It's by asking the right
Mhm.
questions. And so, I mean, there's probably gonna have to be a degree of luck to it, but I'm a firm
Mhm.
believer the harder you work, the luckier you get as well too.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, it could, it's a matter of maybe catching the right person at the right time on the right day,
Mhm.
or getting them when they're in a good mood, or getting the right person that doesn't have bandwidth issues right now or is looking for an assistant. I mean, there's so many different things that go on in someone's life. It's hard to tell. You can't really tell what's going on in someone's life and it's not really hey, one size fits all, so to say. I mean, there's so many different businesses. There's people doing wholesaling from multifamily, from RVs to motels to office to mobile home parks, and the list goes on and on and on. So I mean, it's kind of hard to give an answer for that one. It's really finding out what about that individual person, I would say, and
Sure.
finding out, asking the right questions, and finding what's valuable to them, and then figuring out yourself what's valuable to them and what the hell do I have to offer that could be
Mhm.
valuable.
Right. Maybe that is the value add, right? Is you figuring that out yourself and presenting it to them.
Probably, yeah. And that's a great point because I buy a lot of deals from wholesalers, and the wholesalers that get my attention, I mean, I get sent deals to me all the time, are the ones that bring it to me on a golden platter. They break it down of more, this is what you're paying per unit. This is the comps. Here's the comps. Here's your upside. This is what your construction costs. So they already outlay it on a golden plate and they serve it to me. So they already did the
Mhm.
thinking for me. They already did the heavy lifting for me. Now it's just me of analyzing the numbers and does this make sense? Yes or no? Uh,
Yeah.
so that does make a lot of sense with what you said there. Is yeah, that person doing the lifting on the front end and then presenting it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who who are or I guess what are you looking for right now? So if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking, "Man, Morgan is a stud. I wanna go work for him. I wanna work for him for free." What are you what are you looking for that people could help you with right now?
Oh man, we're always expanding, but um oh, deals is always one. We're always buying deals from people. So, and you can get financially rewarded for that. Very, very
Mhm.
well. Very, very, very well. So I was gonna say deals could be one, finding deals, good deals and bringing, and you get a very nice referral bonus for that. Uh, but as far as operations, I mean, I hand select everyone for very specific things. So I mean, I don't really have an answer for anyone at this specific moment that we need at this exact moment.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you have to come back for round 2, and then we'll get you whoever you need.
Yeah.
Okay, final question on mentorship. When you're seeking a mentor, how important is it for you this is gonna vary person to person, but, like, how important is it to you that they holistically live a life that you like versus there's a specific thing you're going to them to learn from, and everything else is maybe less important?
That's a really good question. There's this thing called, and as regarding mentors and what you just described there, it's called signal and noise. Have you ever heard of this before?
I've heard of it, but break it down. I couldn't tell you what it means pragmatically.
So you have signal and you have noise. Me personally, I focus on the most three important things within the business within the next 18 hours. What are the most three important things that I need to do that moves the needle the highest within the business? Those three things, that is the signal. Everything else in the background, whether if that's drama, whether if that's whatever the case may be, whether employee drama, HR drama, social media, uh, you know, haters, whatever it is. If it's not in those three signal buckets, it's noise, and just let it be noise. Do not give it your attention. Uh,
Mhm.
so mix in that, and what was the other part of the that we were talking about? Sorry,
Well, like, when
the
you're looking when
mentors,
you're
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the mentors. Um, I think it's good to be very specific what that mentor you're looking for, because oftentimes a mentor in one area is not a good mentor in another area.
Right,
Almost like attorneys. When you're going and you're hiring an attorney to do real estate work, are you going to go and hire a divorce attorney?
right, right.
Right? You're not gonna hire a
So
divorce attorney for real estate work. The same goes with mentors. You could have a mentor for spiritual wellness. You could have a mentor for real estate growth. You could have a mentor for marriage counsel.
mhm,
You could have a mentor for, fitness coach. Um, it's very rare you're gonna find a one size of Swiss Army knife, one for all. So I think it is good to, have those mentors in those specific fields that you're looking for that direction, if that
mhm.
makes sense or answers your question.
Yeah, totally. Totally, totally. Well, man, I feel like I could talk to you for hours, man, but we have to start winding down. The last question I ask everybody is, what is the input that you have? So you are a very high output person. Like you're doing a ton and you don't have a ton of free time, I would imagine. But what are your inputs? So do you consume content, books, podcasts, any of that kind of stuff? And if so, what?
Yes. So as far as inputs, yeah, heavy on outputs. Inputs is really investing in myself. I would say that is a huge one. And, to a degree, everything you just mentioned hits that. So podcasts are good. I always watch a lot of podcasts. I'm always trying to learn new things. But I would say a really big one is you can get a lot of good, free education online, but it only goes so far. One of the biggest hacks, when you start making decent money, I started to look at you have two ways you can go in life about something. You can work your way there. It's going to take you time. So that's probably like you're working through your real estate. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to scrape your elbows. You're going to scrape your knees. That's okay. You're meant to do that. That's how you grow. But it's going to take you incredibly longer to do that. Or you could pay your way to someone who's already did that, and they already tripped, they've already scraped their elbows, they already scraped their knees. So there comes to a point in life is what's worth more to you, time or money? To me, my time is worth incredibly much more than money is.
Hmm.
So a lot of my inputs now are getting in better rooms. And this often where I'm going at with this is oftentimes you have to pay to get into those better rooms, to get around higher educated people. Um, uh, and it's one of those ones you're the average of the you're the average of the five people you surround yourself with. Uh, so chances are, let's say there's a free real estate, let's say there's a free real estate mastermind going on tonight in Austin. You're going to go there. You're probably going to meet a lot of really, really green people, really beginner novice, versus say you go to a high ticket community growth mastermind where the ticket's 20K to enter. What type of different caliber people do you think are going to be there between the 20K spot versus the free spot? What type of different caliber people do you think you're going to be surrounded with?
Yeah. I mean, the people who are willing and able to put that amount in, right?
Because they're investing in themselves and they're putting all the chips on the table. They're there for the same damn reason you're there, at
Right.
the end of the day. But that's one thing, you can get to where you want by working, or you can get to where you want by paying your way there. So a
Mm,
lot of the inputs to circle back is figuring out the next figuring out the next layer that I need and how I can position myself to get into that room, whether if it's money or whatever the case may be, is dialing in that next layer of that next level and how do I get into that room? Because I know for me to work to get to that level, it's going to take me 10, 15 years. Or say I can pay to get into that room and maybe it costs me 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. Okay, it cost me 50 grand, but how many it buys me back 10 years of my life.
mm,
In that 10 years, how much money do you think I can make?
right.
Tens of millions of dollars. So is 50 grand a good return on tens of millions of dollars when you think about it?
Yeah,
Easily.
100%.
So that's a lot where I try to focus my inputs. All that stuff on personal development, but more, getting in that higher elevated and higher caliber rooms. Whether if that's money, whatever the case is, that's the case.
Dude, you're a beast. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you. This has been awesome. Um,
Absolutely.
where where can people find out more about you? Where do you like to direct people if they want to know more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty active on social media. Instagram is just my name, Morgan Ehrenzeller. I'm kind of constantly post stuff on there. Stuff we're doing in operations, things in real estate. Try to be really good education, things that's not recycled content, actual good stuff that you can take and go and implement that you're not seeing a lot online, or seeing it anywhere, quite frank. Because a lot of stuff we're doing, I don't see anywhere else online. It's just been all grit. Um, but yeah, you can reach out to me on social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever the case is. It's all just my name, Morgan Aaron Zeller. But it's been a blast, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you and value your time very much. And yeah, thank you, and best of luck to your future endeavors. You're sounds like you're crushing it, and I'm sure you will continue to do so. So I very much appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
All right, bye, everybody.